The words hit Imani like a physical blow. Pack your bags and get out. Tonight. Patricia stood in the doorway of what used to be Imani's childhood bedroom, arms crossed, wearing that cold smile that never reached her eyes. Behind her, Imani's father Robert shifted uncomfortably, refusing to meet his daughter's gaze. What? Imani's voice came out as a whisper. She'd just walked in from her job at the marketing firm, still in her professional blazer, briefcase in hand. You heard me, Patricia continued, stepping into the room like she owned it, which Imani supposed she did now. You're 22 years old. College graduate. Time to be independent. We need this room for Destiny's art studio. Imani looked past Patricia to her 16-year-old stepsister, who was examining her manicured nails with studied indifference. 3 years. It had taken Patricia exactly 3 years to work up to this moment. Dad. Imani's voice cracked. Surely her father wouldn't let this happen. This was her home. She'd grown up in this house, learned to ride a bike in the driveway, had her first heartbreak in this very room. Robert finally looked up, but his eyes were hollow. Imani, baby, Patricia's right. It might be time for you to spread your wings. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife could. Imani felt her world tilting, everything familiar suddenly foreign. She'd been helping pay bills since she got her job 6 months ago. She'd been the one making sure the household ran smoothly while Patricia spent her days shopping and planning elaborate dinners for her book club friends. I see. Imani's voice turned steady, dangerously calm. So I need to pack my bags and leave. Tonight. That's right, Patricia said, satisfaction dripping from every word. We'll give you 2 hours. That should be plenty of time. Imani looked around her room, at the academic awards still hanging on the walls, the photos of her and her father from before Patricia entered their lives, the bookshelf full of novels that had carried her through lonely nights. 2 hours to pack up 22 years of life. Fine, Imani said quietly. But I need to take care of something first. She walked past them to the home office, pulling out her laptop and the folder where she kept all the household account information. Patricia had never bothered to learn about the bills. That was men's work, according to her, even though Imani had been handling it all. Imani's fingers moved swiftly across the keyboard. Electric company, Autopay canceled. Gas company, Autopay canceled. Internet, canceled. Cable, canceled. Lawn service, canceled. Grocery delivery service, canceled. Pool cleaning service, canceled. The credit card that paid for Patricia's monthly spa appointments, canceled. One by one, she systematically removed herself from every automatic payment she'd set up to keep the household running smoothly. The same household that no longer wanted her. She printed out a neat list of all the accounts, their due dates, and the amounts owed. Then she packed her belongings into 3 suitcases and 2 boxes, taking only what was truly hers. As she loaded her car in the driveway, Mrs. Brown from next door appeared at her fence. Child, what are you doing? The elderly woman asked, concern written across her weathered face. Moving out, Mrs. Brown. Family decision. Mrs. Brown's eyes narrowed as she looked toward the house, where Patricia was visible through the window, already measuring Imani's former room. Well, you know my guest room is always available if you need it, baby girl. Imani's throat tightened. More kindness from a neighbor than from her own family. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. I might take you up on that. As Imani drove away from the only home she'd ever known, she left the printed bill summary on the kitchen counter with a simple note. Since I'm no longer part of this family, I've removed myself from all financial responsibilities. Good luck. She didn't look back. 3 days later, Imani's phone started ringing. She was sitting in Mrs. Brown's cozy guest room, working on her laptop and trying to figure out her next move, when her father's name flashed on the screen. She'd been staying with her neighbor, who'd welcomed her with warm arms and endless sweet tea. Imani, baby, you need to come home. Robert's voice was strained, desperate. I don't have a home there anymore, remember? Look, there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Dad. Patricia made herself very clear. She could hear arguing in the background, Patricia's voice rising to a shriek. The power company wants $800. Right now. They're threatening to shut off our electricity. Imani almost smiled. Almost. Dad, I left you a complete list of all the bills and their due dates. Everything you need to know. But we don't understand this stuff. You always handled it. And now I don't live there anymore. The arguing got louder. Destiny's voice joined in, complaining about the internet being shut off. Apparently, she couldn't access her social media accounts or stream her shows. They want a reconnection fee for the cable. Patricia screamed in the background. $300. This is insane. Robert's breathing was heavy. Imani, please. Can't you just fix this? Put the autopay back. From where, Dad? I'm not a family member anymore, remember? I can't manage finances for a household I don't belong to. You're being dramatic. Am I? Because Patricia was very clear that it was time for me to spread my wings and be independent. So that's what I'm doing. Mrs. Brown appeared in the doorway with a tray of lunch and a knowing look. She'd lived long enough to recognize family drama when she saw it. Baby, you talk to your people, she whispered. I'll be in the kitchen if you need anything. Robert was silent for a long moment. What do you want? I want an apology. From both of you. I want acknowledgement that throwing me out with 2 hours' notice was wrong. And I want to be treated like a human being, not a convenience. Okay. Patricia's sorry. We're all sorry. Now can you please? No, Dad. Not over the phone. If you want my help, Patricia needs to look me in the eye and apologize for what she did. And you need to apologize for letting her do it. The lawn service is asking for payment up front now. Patricia's voice carried clearly through the phone. Apparently we're considered unreliable customers. I have to go, Dad. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Imani hung up and stared at her phone. She felt empty, hollowed out. But also for the first time in years she felt free. Mrs. Brown returned with homemade cornbread and a gentle smile. You did the right thing, baby girl. Sometimes people don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. I just never thought my own father would choose her over me. Men can be foolish creatures when they're scared of being alone. But blood is blood. He'll come around. Imani hoped Mrs. Brown was right. But she wasn't holding her breath. Her phone buzzed with a text from Destiny. The Wi-Fi password isn't working and Mom is freaking out. Can you help? Imani turned off her phone. By the end of the week, Imani had received 17 phone calls, 32 text messages, and one dramatic visit from Destiny, who showed up at Mrs. Brown's door with tears streaming down her face. Imani, please? Destiny pleaded from the front porch. Mom's having a complete meltdown. The pool guy won't come back until we pay what we owe, and the green water is attracting mosquitoes. She's making Dad's life miserable, and he's making mine miserable. Imani looked at her stepsister, really looked at her. Destiny was just 16, caught in the middle of adult drama she hadn't created. Come sit down, Imani said, leading her to Mrs. Brown's porch swing. I didn't know you were paying for everything, Destiny said quietly. Mom always said Dad handled the money stuff. Your mom likes to believe a lot of things that aren't true. She's not a bad person. She's just. Destiny struggled for words. She gets scared when she thinks people might leave her. Her first husband left when I was little. She thinks if she controls everything she can keep people from leaving. Imani felt a flicker of understanding, but it didn't excuse the behavior. Destiny, what your mom did was wrong. She threw me out of my own home with 2 hours' notice. She wanted me gone, so I'm gone. But you could come back. If you wanted to. Could I? Because it sounds like your mom only wants me back to manage her bills. Destiny was quiet for a long moment. What if things were different? What if she really apologized? A real apology means admitting wrongdoing and committing to change. Has your mom ever done that? Destiny's silence was answer enough. Mrs. Brown appeared with lemonade and a plate of cookies, settling into her rocking chair like she belonged in the conversation. Child, she said to Destiny, your mama created this mess. Your sister doesn't owe it to anybody to clean it up. But their family, Destiny protested. Family doesn't throw family out on the street, Mrs. Brown replied firmly. Imani's been more family to you than your mama's been to her. That evening after Destiny left, Imani sat on the porch with Mrs. Brown, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. You're stronger than you know, baby girl, Mrs. Brown said. I've been watching you these past few days. You haven't broken down, haven't given in to the guilt they're trying to pile on you. That takes strength. I don't feel strong. I feel lost. Lost is different from broken. Lost means you're looking for your path. Broken means you've given up on having one. Imani's phone buzzed. Another text from her father. The grocery delivery service won't deliver without payment up front. Patricia doesn't know how to grocery shop. Please call me. She showed the text to Mrs. Brown, who shook her head. 45 years old and doesn't know how to buy groceries. Lord have mercy. I used to think I was helping, Imani said. Taking care of things so the family ran smoothly. But really, I was just enabling them to be helpless. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices. As if summoned by their conversation, A car pulled into Mrs. Brown's driveway. Robert got out, looking haggard and defeated. "Imani, we need to talk." Robert sat heavily on Mrs. Brown's porch steps, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 1 week. "Your stepmother is?" He struggled for words. "She's not handling this well." "How is that my problem?" Imani kept her voice level, though her heart was racing. Seeing her father look so broken hurt more than she wanted to admit. "She locked herself in the bedroom and won't come out. Says I have to choose between her and you." Mrs. Brown made a disgusted sound from her rocking chair. "That woman is 45 years old acting like she's 4. Robert ignored her. "Imani baby, I know we messed up. But this has gone too far. The house is falling apart. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. You never bothered to learn because you had me to do it." "That's not. I mean." Robert ran his hands through his hair. "Okay, maybe that's true. But you're my daughter. Doesn't that count for something?" "It should have counted for something when Patricia told me to pack my bags. She was having a bad day. You know how she gets." Imani stood up, anger flashing through her. "A bad day? Dad, she planned this. She's been working toward getting me out of that house since the day she moved in. And you let her. I thought you'd be okay. You're smart, capable. So because I'm capable, it's okay to throw me away?" Mrs. Brown cleared her throat. "Robert Davis, I've known you since you moved to this neighborhood 20 years ago. You were a good father when it was just you and Imani. What happened to that man?" Robert's shoulders sagged. "I was lonely after Karen died. When Patricia came along, she made me feel alive again. But every time she and Imani clashed, I just wanted peace. I thought if I stayed out of it." "You chose sides by not choosing sides," Imani said. "And you chose her. I never meant. Intent doesn't matter when the impact is this destructive." They sat in silence for several minutes. A neighbor walked by with their dog, waving at Mrs. Brown. Normal life continuing while Imani's world had imploded. "What do you want me to do?" Robert asked finally. "I want you to be my father. The one who taught me to ride a bike and helped with my homework and cheered at my graduation. I want you to stand up for me instead of taking the path of least resistance." "And Patricia?" "Patricia needs to learn that actions have consequences. That you can't treat people badly and expect them to keep serving you." Robert's phone rang. He glanced at it and winced. "It's her. She's probably wondering where I am." "Then you have a choice to make, Dad." Again. Robert stared at the phone until it stopped ringing. Then he turned it off. "Tell me what I need to do to fix this." For the first time in days, Imani felt a spark of hope. "First, you need to learn how to manage your own household. No more depending on other people to handle your responsibilities." "Okay." "Second, Patricia needs to apologize to me. A real apology. Not because she needs something from me, but because she genuinely understands that what she did was wrong." "That might be challenging." "Dad, if she can't apologize for throwing your daughter out of her own home, what does that tell you about her character?" Robert was quiet for a long time. Mrs. Brown got up and went inside, giving them privacy. "I've been a coward," he said finally. "Yes, but cowardice is a choice. You can choose differently." "How do I start?" Imani pulled out her phone and showed him a budgeting app. "First, you learn how to manage money. Then you learn how to set boundaries with Patricia. And then you decide what kind of father you want to be." Robert nodded slowly. "Will you help me?" "I'll teach you. But I won't do it for you. Not anymore." "That's fair." As Robert drove away, Imani felt something she hadn't felt in years: respect for her father. It was fragile, tentative, but it was there. Maybe there was hope after all. Imani spent the weekend teaching her father basic life skills he should have learned decades ago. They met at a neutral location, the local library, so Patricia wouldn't interfere. Online banking, Imani explained, showing Robert how to check account balances on his phone. You can see exactly what you have and what you owe. Robert squinted at the screen. When did everything become so complicated? It's not complicated, Dad. You just let other people handle it for so long that it feels foreign. They worked through the budget together. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries, gas. Basic necessities that somehow felt overwhelming to a man who'd been avoiding responsibility for years. Patricia's book club dinners cost how much? Robert stared at the credit card statement in disbelief. $400 last month. Plus the spa appointments, shopping trips, and that weekend in Napa. I had no idea. Because you didn't want to know. Robert was quiet, studying the numbers. We can't afford this lifestyle. No, you can't. Especially not without my income helping. What do I tell Patricia? You tell her the truth. That you've been living beyond your means and things have to change. Robert looked terrified at the prospect. Imani almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Dad, what's the worst thing that happens if Patricia gets upset? She gets angry. Gives me the silent treatment. Threatens to leave. And I apologize and try to make her happy again. What if you didn't do that? What if you let her be upset? Robert looked at Imani like she'd suggested jumping off a cliff. Dad, you're so afraid of Patricia leaving that you threw away your relationship with your own daughter. Is that the man you want to be? No, he said quietly. It's not. They spent another hour going through the practical basics. How to set up automatic payments responsibly. How to read utility bills. How to budget for groceries. Things Imani had been doing since she was 18. I feel like an idiot, Robert said as they packed up. You're not an idiot. You're just someone who avoided responsibility for so long that it became overwhelming. But you can learn. What about you? Are you okay? Where are you going to live? Imani had been wondering the same thing. Mrs. Brown's guest room was a temporary solution, but she needed her own place. I'm looking at apartments. I have some savings and my job pays enough for a studio or one bedroom. I could help with a deposit. No, Dad. I need to do this myself. Because you don't trust me? Because I need to know I can take care of myself. That I don't need anyone else to survive. Robert nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. As they walked to their cars, Robert hesitated. Imani, I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. You're stronger and more capable than I ever was at your age. Thanks, Dad. And I'm sorry. For all of it. For choosing the easy path instead of the right one. For letting Patricia treat you badly. For making you feel like you didn't matter. Imani felt tears threatening. I needed to hear that. I'll keep saying it until you believe it. That evening, Imani sat in Mrs. Brown's kitchen, scrolling through apartment listings on her laptop. Find anything good? Mrs. Brown asked, setting down a cup of tea. A few possibilities. There's a nice studio downtown close to work. And a one-bedroom in the arts district that's affordable. What does your heart tell you? Imani looked up. What do you mean? I mean, forget about practical for a minute. What kind of life do you want to build? Imani had been so focused on survival that she hadn't thought about actually living. I want space to breathe. To make my own choices without worrying about how they'll affect everyone else. Then you'll find the right place. Mrs. Brown, can I ask you something? Of course, baby girl. How do you know when you're making the right decision? Mrs. Brown smiled. You don't most of the time. But you make the decision that feels true to who you are, and then you trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. I'm scared. Good. Scared means you're paying attention. Scared means you care about getting it right. Imani's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hi Imani, this is Jamal from college. Heard through the grapevine you might be looking for a new place. I know someone with a great apartment opening up. Call me if you're interested. She stared at the message. Jamal Thompson. They'd worked on several group projects together, had always been friendly but not close. How had he heard about her situation? She called him. Imani, how are you holding up? How did you? Destiny posted something on social media about family drama. I put two and two together. Look, my cousin Jasmine has a one-bedroom in a great neighborhood. She's moving in with her boyfriend and needs someone to take over the lease. Interested? Sometimes, Imani thought, the universe provides exactly what you need exactly when you need it. Very interested. Jasmine's apartment was perfect. High ceilings, hardwood floors, and windows that let in streams of golden sunlight. It was in a neighborhood filled with young professionals, artists, and small cafes. Most importantly, it felt like freedom. The lease runs until December, Jasmine explained as they walked through the space. Rent's $1,200 a month, utilities not included. The landlord's cool, he just wants someone responsible. Imani did quick math in her head. With her salary, she could afford it comfortably. For the first time in her life, she'd be living within her own means, not supplementing someone else's lifestyle. I'll take it. Just like that. Just like that. Jamal grinned from where he was examining the kitchen appliances. I told you she was decisive. You sure you don't want to think about it? Jasmine asked. Check out other places? I've been thinking about having my own space for years. This feels right. And it did. Standing in the empty living room, Imani could picture her books on the built-in shelves, her grandmother's quilt draped over the couch, plants on the windowsill. A life that belonged entirely to her. There's just one thing, Jasmine said hesitantly. My cousin mentioned you're dealing with some family stuff. I need to know this won't turn into drama at my doorstep. My family doesn't even know I'm looking at apartments. This has nothing to do with them. Good. Because I really need someone reliable. That's what I do best. 3 hours later, Imani had signed the lease, paid the deposit, and received her keys. She stood alone in her new apartment, holding the key ring and feeling overwhelmed by possibility. Her phone rang. Robert. Hey Dad. Imani, we have a problem. Patricia found out about our library meeting. She's not happy. What did she say? She said I was choosing you over her. That if I keep meeting with you, she's going to her sister's house and taking Destiny with her. Imani felt the familiar weight of family manipulation settling on her shoulders. Then she remembered where she was standing, in her own apartment, holding her own keys, responsible only for herself. Dad, what did you tell her? I told her that learning to manage our finances wasn't choosing sides. It was being responsible. And? She's packing a bag. Imani waited for the surge of guilt, the urge to fix everything. Instead, she felt surprisingly calm. How do you feel about that? Scared. Sad. But also, relieved? Is that terrible? It's honest. I keep thinking about what you said. About being afraid of her leaving instead of afraid of losing my daughter. I spent so much energy trying to keep Patricia happy that I forgot to care about keeping you. What are you going to do? I'm going to let her make her choice. And then I'm going to live with whatever she decides. That takes courage, Dad. I learned from the best. After they hung up, Imani sat on her apartment floor and cried. Not from sadness, but from relief. Her father was finally growing a backbone. It might be too late to save his marriage, but it wasn't too late to save their relationship. Jamal knocked on her door with Chinese takeout and a bottle of wine. Housewarming gift, he said, settling cross-legged on the floor beside her. Plus, you look like you could use some company. You don't even know me that well. Why are you being so nice? I know you well enough. You were always the one who made sure everyone in our study group understood the material. You stayed late to help people who were struggling. You never made anyone feel stupid for asking questions. That's just basic decency. Exactly. Which is rarer than you think. They ate lo mein out of containers and talked about college, work, and dreams for the future. Jamal was a graphic designer at a small firm, hoping to eventually start his own business. He had an easy laugh and a way of listening that made Imani feel heard. So what's next for you? He asked as they finished the wine. I don't know. For the first time in my life, I get to decide what I want instead of what everyone else needs. That's terrifying and amazing. Mostly terrifying. Well, if you need any help figuring it out, I know this guy who's pretty good at making things look appealing on paper. Resumes, business plans, whatever. Is that an offer? It's a standing offer. Friends help friends. Friends? Imani repeated, testing the word. When was the last time she'd had a friend who wasn't somehow connected to her family drama? Good friends, Jamal confirmed. The kind who show up with food and don't ask too many questions. Those are the best kind. As Jamal left, Imani locked her door, and looked around her empty apartment. Tomorrow she'd buy furniture. This weekend she'd move her belongings from Mrs. Brown's. Next week she'd start building a life that belonged entirely to her. For the first time in years, the future felt full of possibility instead of obligation. Moving day arrived with an unexpected complication. Imani was loading boxes into her car when Patricia appeared in Mrs. Brown's driveway like an avenging angel. We need to talk, Patricia announced, her voice tight with controlled anger. Mrs. Brown immediately appeared on her porch, arms crossed. Child, this is private property. You weren't invited. This is between me and Imani, Patricia replied, not taking her eyes off her stepdaughter. Actually, it's not, Imani said calmly, continuing to load boxes. You made it very clear that I'm not part of your family anymore. Don't be dramatic. I was angry. People say things when they're angry. People reveal their true feelings when they're angry. Patricia's composure cracked slightly. Your father is making a mistake. All this budget nonsense, questioning my spending, you're turning him against me. I'm teaching him basic financial literacy. If that turns him against you, maybe you should examine why. He's my husband, and I'm his daughter. Funny how that didn't matter when you wanted me gone. Patricia stepped closer, lowering her voice. You think you're so smart, don't you? Living on your own, proving some point. But you need us more than we need you. Do I? Because from what I hear, your electricity got shut off twice last week. That was a misunderstanding. No, that was consequences. Mrs. Brown cleared her throat loudly. Patricia, I think it's time for you to leave. This isn't over, Patricia said to Imani. Yes, it is. I'm done being your scapegoat. After Patricia left, Mrs. Brown helped Imani load the final boxes. That woman has some nerve, Mrs. Brown muttered. Coming here acting like she's the victim. She can't control me anymore, so she's panicking. Good. Let her panic. At the new apartment, Jamal and two of his friends were waiting with a moving truck. Surprise. Jamal called out. Professional moving crew at your service. You didn't have to. We wanted to. Besides, Marcus here needs to practice for when he moves his girlfriend in next month. Marcus, a tall man with gentle eyes, grinned. Consider this a trial run. And I just like helping people, added the third friend, a woman named Simone with intricate braids and paint under her fingernails. Plus, Jamal promised pizza. Pizza is definitely happening, Imani laughed. They spent the afternoon moving furniture, hanging pictures, and transforming the empty apartment into something that felt like home. Imani had never experienced anything like it, people helping her just because they wanted to, with no strings attached. You know what this place needs? Simone said, stepping back to survey their work. What? Plants. Lots of plants. I know a nursery that gives amazing deals to first-time plant parents. I don't know anything about keeping plants alive. That's what plant friends are for. We'll teach you. As the sun set, they gathered around Imani's new dining table. A beautiful second-hand find Jamal had spotted at an estate sale, sharing pizza and stories. So what's the plan now? Marcus asked. You've got the apartment, you've got independence. What's next? I've been thinking about that, Imani said. I love my job, but I've always wanted to do something more creative. Marketing is fine, but it doesn't feel like me, you know? What would feel like you? Simone asked. I used to write stories, articles, even tried my hand at screenplays in college. But it seems so impractical. Impractical according to who? Jamal asked. My family. They said I needed a stable career, something reliable. And now I get to decide what reliable means to me. Simone leaned forward excitedly. I know this woman who runs a small publishing house. They're always looking for freelance writers and editors. It doesn't pay much at first, but it's a foot in the door. You do that? Connect me? Girl, yes. Writers need to stick together. After everyone left, Imani sat in her living room, surrounded by boxes but feeling more at home than she had in years. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father. Patricia went to her sisters. She said she needs time to think. I'm scared, but I'm also proud of myself for not begging her to stay. Thank you for helping me find my backbone. Imani smiled and texted back, proud of you too, Dad. Another text, this one from Destiny. Mom's being extra dramatic at Aunt Linda's. She keeps saying Dad chose you over her. I told her that's not how love works. You don't run out of love when you share it. Is that right? That's exactly right. You're wiser than your years, kiddo. Can I visit your new place sometime? Mom doesn't have to know. Anytime. But I won't lie to your mom if she asks. That's fair. Imani turned off her phone and ran a bath in her very own bathtub. As she sank into the warm water, she realized something remarkable. She was happy. Not just relieved or hopeful, actually happy. For the first time in her adult life, she was living for herself instead of around other people's emotions. It felt revolutionary. 2 weeks into her new life, Imani was settling into a routine. Morning coffee at the cafe downstairs, work at the marketing firm, evenings spent writing freelance articles for Simone's publisher friend. It was a rhythm that felt sustainable and entirely her own. Then Destiny showed up at her door on a Thursday evening, eyes red from crying. My mom's gone crazy, Destiny said without preamble. Like actually crazy. What happened? Come in, sit down. Destiny collapsed onto Imani's couch like she'd been carrying the weight of the world. She's been at Aunt Linda's for 2 weeks, right? Just calling Dad constantly, demanding that he choose between you and her. And? He keeps saying there's no choice to make. That he can have a relationship with his daughter and his wife if she stops making it a competition. Imani felt a surge of pride for her father. How's Patricia taking that? She filed for separation. Oh. Imani hadn't expected that. She thought Patricia would eventually get tired of the drama and come home. But here's the thing, Destiny continued. Aunt Linda called Dad this morning. She said Mom's been lying to her about why she left. Told Linda that you've been stealing money from them and Dad's too blind to see it. That's ridiculous. I know that. Dad knows that. But Linda didn't know that. So she started asking questions about the finances. Imani could see where this was heading. And Patricia couldn't answer them. Exactly. Linda wanted to see bank statements, receipts, something to prove Mom's story. But Mom couldn't produce anything because she never paid attention to the money stuff. What did Linda do? She called Dad directly. Asked him to explain what's really going on. Destiny's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and made a face. That's Mom. She's been texting me all day, trying to get me to come back and tell her everything Dad's doing. Are you going to? Hell no. I'm 16, not stupid. I can see what's happening. What do you mean? Destiny took a deep breath. Mom's always been controlling, but I thought it was because she loved us. But this isn't love. This is manipulation. She's trying to use me to spy on Dad. She wants me to choose sides instead of letting me have relationships with both of them. That must be really hard to realize. It is. But it's also kind of freeing. Like, I don't have to pretend everything's normal anymore. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Destiny looked around the apartment. This place suits you. It feels peaceful. Thanks. I think so too. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you mad at me? For not standing up for you when Mom kicked you out? Imani studied her stepsister's face. She saw genuine remorse there and fear. I was hurt, Imani said honestly. But I wasn't angry. You were in an impossible position. I should have said something. You were protecting yourself. That's not wrong. But I could have texted you later. Let you know I didn't agree with what happened. You're doing that now. Destiny smiled shakily. Better late than never? Much better. They ordered Chinese food and watched a movie, and for the first time, Imani felt like they might actually become friends instead of just family members stuck in the same house. Around 9, Destiny's phone rang. Robert. Hey Dad. Yeah, I'm at Imani's. No, Mom doesn't know. What do you mean Linda wants to talk to all of us? Imani could hear Robert's voice but not the words. Destiny's eyes got wide. Are you serious? Okay, I'll ask her. Destiny hung up and turned to Imani. Linda wants to have a family meeting. Tomorrow night. She wants to hear everyone's side of the story before she decides whether to keep letting Mom stay with her. That's unexpected. Dad wants to know if you'll come. He thinks Linda might be the key to getting Mom to face reality. Imani thought about it. She'd never met Linda, but if Patricia was going to be forced to confront her lies in front of a neutral party, will you be there? She asked Destiny. If you want me to be, then yes, I'll come. Really? Really? It's time for the truth to come out. Destiny hugged her impulsively. I'm glad you're my sister. Stepsister. Whatever. I'm glad you're in my life. Me too, kiddo. Me too. After Destiny left, Imani called Jamal. Family meeting tomorrow, she told him. With the aunt who's been hosting Patricia's pity party. You nervous? Terrified. But also ready. I'm tired of Patricia controlling the narrative. Want backup? I could accidentally be in the neighborhood. That's sweet, but I need to handle this myself. Okay, but call me after. I want to know how it goes. I will. And Imani? You've got this. You're stronger than you think. As Imani prepared for bed, she thought about how much had changed in just a few weeks. She had her own space, new friends, a budding writing career, and a relationship with her father that felt authentic for the first time in years. Tomorrow would be challenging, but she was no longer the same person who'd been thrown out with 2 hours' notice. That person had been dependent on family approval for her sense of worth. This person knew her own value. Linda's house was a modest ranch-style home filled with family photos and the smell of fresh coffee. Patricia's sister was nothing like what Imani had expected. Where Patricia was dramatic and polished, Linda was practical and down-to-earth. I appreciate everyone coming, Linda said as they gathered in her living room. I need to understand what's really going on before I can continue hosting house guests. Patricia sat rigidly on the edge of the couch, wearing a black dress like she was attending a funeral. Robert and Destiny sat together across from her, while Imani chose a chair that gave her a clear view of everyone. Patricia's told me her version of events, Linda continued. But some things aren't adding up. So I want to hear from each of you. This is ridiculous, Patricia said. I'm your sister. Why would I lie to you? Because you've been caught in 3 different versions of the same story, Linda replied calmly. First you said Imani was stealing money. Then you said she was manipulating Robert. Then you said she was being disrespectful and ungrateful. Which is it? Patricia's composure flickered. It's all of those things. Okay, let's start with the money, Linda said, pulling out a notebook. You said Imani was stealing. Robert, can you explain your household finances? Robert cleared his throat nervously. Patricia never wanted to handle the bills. Said it was too stressful. So Imani took over when she got her job. She set up automatic payments from my account, gave me monthly reports, helped us budget. And she had access to steal from you? She saved us money. Cut our utilities by switching providers, found better insurance rates, eliminated unnecessary services. Our expenses actually went down when she took over. Linda made notes. Patricia, do you have any evidence that money was stolen? It's not about proof. It's about trust. Trust requires truth, Linda said. Imani, what happened the night you left? Imani had prepared for this moment. She spoke calmly, factually, without emotion. Patricia told me to pack my bags and leave that night. She said they needed my room for Destiny's art studio. I was given 2 hours to pack up 22 years of my life. And then I removed myself from all the automatic bill payments I'd set up. If I wasn't family, I figured I shouldn't be responsible for family finances. Linda turned to Destiny. What did you see that night? Destiny looked at her mother, then at Imani. Mom planned it. She'd been talking about getting Imani out of the house for weeks. She said the house would be more peaceful without Imani's attitude. Destiny? Patricia snapped. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. You also said Dad would get over it and Imani would come crawling back when she realized she needed us. Linda's expression grew cold. Patricia, is that true? I was frustrated. Imani and I never got along. Because you never tried, Robert interrupted, speaking up for the first time. From the day you moved in, you treated Imani like she was in the way. She was in the way. She's a grown woman. She should have her own life. She was 22 years old, fresh out of college, helping support our household while building her career. She was being responsible. Linda set down her pen. Patricia, I've heard enough. You lied to me about why you left your husband. You tried to make me believe a young woman who was contributing to your household was somehow victimizing you. Linda, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You wanted your stepdaughter gone, you manipulated the situation to get what you wanted, and now you're facing consequences you didn't expect. Patricia's mask finally slipped completely. Fine. You want the truth? I was tired of competing with his precious daughter for his attention. Everything was always about Imani. Her grades, her job, her achievements. What about me? What about what I wanted? The room fell silent. Even Destiny looked shocked by her mother's venom. Marriage isn't a competition, Linda said quietly. And love isn't a finite resource. Easy for you to say. You never had to deal with a perfect stepdaughter making you look bad. Imani spoke for the first time since telling her story. I was never trying to make you look bad, Patricia. I was trying to help. By making yourself indispensable? By being so helpful that Robert couldn't function without you? By being a daughter. Something you never let me be in my own home. Patricia turned to Robert. Are you going to let her talk to me like that? Robert looked at his wife with sad, clear eyes. Patricia, she's right. You never let her be a daughter in her own home. And I let you do it because it was easier than fighting with you. So that's it? You're choosing her over me? I'm choosing to be the father I should have been all along. If you can't accept that Imani is my daughter and deserves my love and respect, then we have bigger problems than I thought. Patricia stood abruptly. I'm not going to sit here and be attacked by all of you. No one's attacking you, Linda said. We're asking you to take responsibility for your actions. This is all her fault. Patricia pointed at Imani. Everything was fine before she started her manipulative games. Everything was fine for you, Imani said calmly. Because I was doing your work and staying out of your way and letting you pretend I didn't exist. Patricia stormed toward the door, then turned back. Robert, if you don't come with me right now, I'm filing for divorce. Robert stood up slowly. Patricia, I love you. But I won't be held hostage anymore. If you file for divorce because I refuse to abandon my daughter, then maybe we were never as compatible as I thought. Patricia's face went white. She clearly expected him to cave. This isn't over, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. After she left, the room felt lighter, like a storm had passed. I'm sorry about my sister, Linda said to Imani. And I'm sorry about what you've been through. Thank you. For what it's worth, you handled that with more grace than I would have. Robert looked at his daughter with tears in his eyes. Imani, I'm sorry. For all of it. For taking so long to stand up for you. You did it when it mattered most. Destiny hugged her father, then turned to Imani. Can I come visit you this weekend? I want to see more of your apartment. I'd love that. As they prepared to leave, Linda pulled Imani aside. You're welcome here anytime. And if Patricia gives you any more trouble, you call me. She's my sister, but what she did was wrong. Thank you. That means a lot. Driving home to her apartment, Imani felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Complete peace. The truth was finally out. Patricia's manipulation had been exposed. Her father had chosen to be a real parent. Most importantly, she'd stood up for herself without anger or bitterness. She'd simply told the truth and let it speak for itself. Sometimes that's all you need to do. 6 months later, Imani woke up in her sun-filled apartment to the sound of her phone buzzing with notifications. Her latest freelance article had been published in a major online magazine, and the response was overwhelming. Brilliant piece on family boundaries, one comment read. This helped me understand my own situation so much better. Where has this writer been hiding? Read another. More, please. Imani smiled, sipping her coffee as she scrolled through the positive feedback. What had started as therapeutic writing about her own experience had evolved into a regular column about relationships, family dynamics, and finding your voice. Her phone rang. Jamal. Have you seen the article responses? He asked excitedly. I'm looking at them now. It's surreal. 3 different publishers have already reached out to my friend Simone asking about your availability for larger projects. Girl, you might need to consider writing full-time. One step at a time, Imani laughed. But it feels good to know I'm helping people. Speaking of helping people, what time should I pick you up for dinner tonight? You don't have to pick me up. I can meet you there. Imani, it's your birthday dinner. I'm picking you up. She'd almost forgotten. 23 felt different than 22. This version of herself was stronger, more independent, more sure of her own worth. Fine. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. And wear something nice. It's a special place. After Jamal hung up, Imani's phone buzzed with a text from Destiny. Happy birthday, sis. Dad and I are taking you to brunch tomorrow. No excuses. Then another from her father. Happy birthday, baby girl. I'm proud of the woman you've become. Even one from Mrs. Brown. Happy birthday, sweetie. Come by for cake later. I made your favorite. The outpouring of love felt overwhelming in the best way. As she got ready for work, Imani reflected on how much had changed. Patricia had indeed filed for divorce, though the proceedings were dragging on. Robert was learning to live independently for the first time in years and seemed happier for it. Destiny visited every other weekend and had started calling Imani for advice about everything from college applications to boy drama. Most surprisingly, Patricia had reached out 2 months ago. Not to apologize, that would have been too much growth, but to propose a civilized relationship, now that she and Robert were divorcing. Imani had politely declined. She'd learned the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation, between healing and allowing yourself to be hurt again. At work, her boss called her into his office. Imani, I've been following your writing career, he said. That latest article about workplace boundaries has been shared thousands of times. Thank you. It's been rewarding to help people navigate difficult situations. I'm sure it has. Which is why I wanted to discuss a proposition with you. Imani sat up straighter. We're launching a new division focused on personal development content. Blog posts, workshops, webinars. I'd like you to head it up. Seriously? Seriously. It would mean a promotion, a significant salary increase, and the opportunity to build something from the ground up. Wow. I need some time to think about it. Of course. Take the weekend. But Imani, you found your voice. This job would let you use it to help people while building a career that's sustainable. That evening, Jamal picked her up in a car she didn't recognize. Did you borrow someone's car? Something like that. He was grinning mysteriously. They drove to a restaurant she'd never heard of in a part of town she rarely visited. When they walked in, she understood why it was special. The entire place was filled with her friends and family. Surprise! Everyone shouted. Mrs. Brown was there with a massive birthday cake. Simone had brought a bouquet of flowers from her nursery. Marcus and his girlfriend had decorated a corner with balloons. Robert and Destiny had collaborated on a photo collage of Imani's achievements over the past year. How did you all? Imani started to ask. Group text, Jamal said. Turns out people who love you like to celebrate you. The evening was perfect. Stories, laughter, good food, and the kind of joy that comes from being surrounded by people who genuinely care about you. As they were cutting the cake, Destiny pulled Imani aside. I have something for you, she said, handing her a small wrapped package. Inside was a keychain with a simple charm, a bird in flight. It's to remind you that you taught me it's okay to fly away from things that hurt you, Destiny said. And that sometimes leaving is the bravest thing you can do. Imani hugged her stepsister tightly. When did you get so wise? I learned from watching you. Later, as the party wound down, Robert approached her. Imani, there's something I need to say. Dad, you don't have to. Yes, I do. This past year, watching you build a life for yourself, seeing how strong and capable you are, it made me realize how much I failed you growing up. Dad, let me finish. I was so focused on keeping peace that I forgot my job was to protect you and help you grow. You had to learn to stand up for yourself because I didn't do it for you. But you did it when it mattered most. I did it when I almost lost you. That's not good enough. Robert's eyes were serious. But I want you to know, watching you this year has been the proudest I've ever been to be your father. I love you too, Dad. I have something for you. He handed her an envelope. It's not much, but I want to contribute to your life moving forward. Inside was a check and a note, for the daughter who taught her father how to be brave. As everyone began to leave, Jamal lingered. Good party? He asked. The best. Thank you for organizing all this. Thank you for letting us celebrate you. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Jamal, can I ask you something? Anything. That first day you helped me move in, you said friends help friends. What made you want to be my friend? He considered the question seriously. Remember that group project in Dr. Wilson's class? You were assigned to work with that guy who never showed up and the girl who didn't speak English very well? Tyler and Maria. Yeah. You could have complained to Dr. Wilson, gotten them removed from the group, done the project yourself and taken all the credit. That wouldn't have been fair. Exactly. Instead, you found ways to include them. You met with Maria every week to help her understand the material. You tracked down Tyler and figured out he was working 3 jobs to support his family. I remember. You found a way for all 3 of you to succeed. That's who you are, Imani. You look for solutions that lift people up instead of solutions that benefit only you. Even when they don't return the favor. Especially then. That's what makes you special. As Jamal drove her home, Imani thought about the job offer, the life she'd built, the relationships she'd cultivated. A year ago, she'd been thrown out of her childhood home with 2 hours' notice. Tonight, she'd been surrounded by people who chose to love her. The difference was that this time she'd chosen them back. Standing in her apartment later, looking out at the city lights, Imani realized something important. She was no longer running from anything. She was running towards something. A life of her own choosing, relationships built on mutual respect, work that mattered to her. Tomorrow she'd accept the promotion. Next month she'd visit Mrs. Brown's church like she'd been promising to do. Next year maybe she'd start thinking about buying a house. All possibilities she got to choose for herself. Her phone buzzed with a final text of the day from a number she didn't recognize. Saw your article about family boundaries. Thank you for helping me find the courage to leave a toxic situation. Your words saved my life. Imani smiled, saving the message. This was why she wrote. This was why she'd needed to find her own voice, so she could help other people find theirs. Outside her window, the city sparkled with endless possibility. Inside her heart, everything finally felt like home.